Hello students. So we are going to start a new chapter, gastrointestinal tract. So in GIT, first of all we are going to cover the congenital abnormality. In congenital abnormalities, the abnormalities are atresia, fistula, duplication. They occur in any part of the GI tract when present within the esophagus. When atresia it is seen in esophagus, they are discovered shortly after birth because they cause regurgitation during feeding. So, the congenital abnormalities, if they are seen in esophagus, they are discovered within birth, within few hours after birth. These must be corrected promptly since they are incompatible with life. Esophageal atresia. In esophageal atresia, a thin non-canalized cord is present that replaces a segment of esophagus. So, there is absence of a segment of esophagus that is replaced by thin non-canalized cord, causing the mechanical obstruction. The proximal and distal blind pouches, they connect to the pharynx and esophagus and stomach respectively. The atresia occurs most commonly at or near the tracheal bifurcation and is usually associated with a fistula connecting the upper or lower esophageal pouches to the bronchus or trachea. So, atresia is usually associated with fistula. If fistula is present, then it can lead to aspiration, suffocation, pneumonia, and severe fluid and electrolyte imbalance. The esophageal atresia is associated with other congenital abnormalities like congenital heart diseases or defects, genitourinary malformations, and neurologic diseases. The intestinal atresia is less common than the esophageal atresia. So, esophageal atresia is more common, and if intestinal atresia is present, then it usually involves the duodenum. Now, the stenosis. Stenosis is an incomplete form of atresia in which the lumen is markedly reduced in caliber as a result of fibrous thickening of the wall, resulting in partial or complete obstruction. So, in stenosis, there is partial or complete obstruction of the lumen due to fibrous thickening of the wall, while in atresia, there is absence, complete absence. So, it is incomplete form of atresia. Stenosis may involve any part of the GI tract, but the esophagus and small intestine, they are affected more often. The imperforate anus is common form of congenital intestinal atresia. Congenital duplication cysts. These cysts are secular or elongated cystic masses that contain redundant smooth muscle layers. So, important point is they have redundant smooth muscle layers. They may be present in esophagus, small intestine, or colon. Diaphragmatic hernia, another congenital abnormality, occurs when there is incomplete formation of diaphragm that allows the abdominal viscera to herniate into the thoracic cavity. So, there is absence of or incomplete formation of diaphragm that causes herniation of the abdominal viscera into the thoracic cavity. Omphalocele occurs when there is closure of the abdominal musculature is incomplete. So, the abdominal musculature is incompletely closed, leading to abdominal viscera herniate into the ventral membranous sac. This may be repaired surgically, but as many as 40% of the infants with an omphalocele have other birth defects, including the diaphragmatic hernia and congenital anomalies. Now the gastroparesis. It is also a form of ventral wall defect like omphalocele, except that it involves all the layers of the abdominal wall, starting from skin to peritoneum. All the layers of the abdominal wall, they are absent or defective. Ectopia or ectopic tissues, they are common in GI tract. Most frequent site of ectopic gastric mucosa is the upper third of the esophagus, where it is referred to as inlet patch. So, if generally they are asymptomatic, acid released by gastric mucosa within the esophagus can result in dysphagia and esophagitis or Barrett esophagus, and rarely adenocarcinoma. Ectopic pancreatic tissue, they occur less frequently and can be found in esophagus or stomach. Now the Meckel's diverticulum is an important congenital abnormality. It is a true diverticulum. So Meckel's diverticulum is true diverticulum. Most common type of Meckel diverticulum. Most common type of true diverticulum is Meckel's diverticulum. It is a blind outpouching of the alimentary tract that is lined by mucosa, and it communicates with the lumen. So it communicates with lumen, and it includes all three layers of the bowel wall: mucosa, submucosa, and muscularis propria. The Meckel's diverticulum occurs as a result of failed involution of the vitelline duct, which connects the lumen of the developing gut to the yolk sac. This solitary diverticulum is a small pouch extending from the antemesenteric side of the bowel. So, Meckel's diverticulum is a true diverticulum that includes mucosa, submucosa, and muscularis propria, and it affects approximately 2% of the population. You have to remember rule of 2, that is, it is seen in 2% of population. It is present within 2 feet of ileocecal valve. It is approximately 2 inches long, and it is twice as common in males as in females, and most often symptomatic by age of 2. The mucosal lining of Meckel's diverticulum resembles that of normal small intestine. But remember, ectopic pancreatic or gastric tissue may also be present in the Meckel's diverticulum. So, if gastric tissue is present, then it may result in peptic ulceration of the adjacent small intestinal mucosa and may present with occult bleeding or abdominal pain resembling the acute appendicitis or intestinal obstruction. Congenital diverticulum, they may occur in other parts of the small intestine and ascending colon than ileum, but they are less common. All other diverticula are acquired other than Meckel's diverticulum, and they lack the muscularis entirely or have an attenuated muscularis propria. Another important congenital disorder is Hirschsprung disease. Hirschsprung disease, it occurs in approximately 1 of 5,000 live births. It may be isolated or occur in combination with other congenital abnormalities. 10% of all cases occurs in children with Down syndrome. So 10% cases in Down syndrome, and serious abnormalities are present in another 5%. Hirschsprung disease is also known as congenital aganglionic megacolon. It results when the normal migration of the neural crest cells from cecum to rectum is arrested prematurely, or when the ganglionic cells undergo premature death. So, there is absence of ganglion cells. This produces a distal intestinal segment that lacks both the Meissner submucosal and Auerbach-Meinrich plexus, that is aganglionosis. The coordinated peristaltic contractions are absent and functional obstruction occurs, resulting in dilation proximal to the affected segment. So, the segment of intestine proximal to the affected segment is dilated. Mechanism underlying defective neural crest cell migration are unknown, but the genetic component is present in nearly all cases and 4% of patient siblings are affected. Heterozygous loss of function, mutations in the receptor tyrosine kinase RET account for the majority of familial cases and 15% of sporadic cases. Diagnosis requires documenting the absence of ganglion cells within the affected segment. Because migration of neural crest cells in Meissner and Auerbach plexus are linked, it is possible to establish the diagnosis preoperatively by examining suction biopsy specimens. In addition to characteristic morphology in H&E stain sections, ganglion cells can also be identified using immunohistochemical stains for acetylcholine S. So, in biopsy, we can detect the ganglion cells in H&E stain sections and IHC or immunohistochemical stains for acetylcholine S. Rectum is always affected in Hirschsprung disease, but the length of the additional involved segment varies widely. Most cases are limited to the rectum and sigmoid colon, but several cases can involve the entire, severe cases, they can involve the entire colon. The aganglionic region have a grossly normal or contracted appearance, while the normally innervated proximal colon undergo progressive dilation. So the aganglionic region or the affected segment is contracted or maybe normal, but the proximal segment proximal to the affected part is dilated. With time, the proximal colon may become massively distended. That is, it is known as megacolon, reaching the diameter of as much as 20 centimeters. Dilation may stretch and thin the colonic wall to point of rupture, which occurs most frequently near the cecum. So, dilated part is proximal to the contracted aganglionic region. So, the microphotograph is showing Hirschsprung disease. In photograph A, it is preoperative barium enema study showing constricted rectum and dilated sigmoid colon, and it is corresponding intraoperative photograph showing constricting rectum and dilation of the sigmoid colon. So, how patient presents? Patient typically present neonatally with failure to pass meconium in the immediate postnatal period. Obstructive constipation follows, although in cases where only a few centimeters of the rectum are involved, there may be occasional passage of stool. So, depending on the segment, which part and how much the part is affected, the clinical features vary. The major threats to life are enterocolitis, fluid and electrolyte disturbances, perforation, and peritonitis. Primary mode of treatment is surgical resection of the aganglionic segment and anastomosis of the normal colon to the rectum. Even after successful surgery, it may take years for patients to attain normal bowel function and continence. Thank you.